So welcome back, guys, to We Talk Boxing. So what can I say about Adam Azim? Again, you know what I mean. He's turned out tonight. He's headlined and he's put on a brilliant performance. Do you know what I mean? Against a fairly durable opponent in Santos Reyes. Santos Reyes, you know what I mean. His record was pretty good, pretty sturdy, but not a lot of people pretty much known about him prior to the fight, so we didn't really know exactly what he could do or how he's going to fight, etc. We just knew that, you know what I mean, he was unbeaten. Adam Azim from round one was, you know what I mean, he was the far superior boxer in there. He was fast, he was sharp, energetic, and furious with his punches as well. And I think for me, his biggest quality was his speed and his good movement and his agility to kind of, you know what I mean, evade shots from Santos Reyes. Just to keep that distance, that time between him and Reyes as well. He used his jab really well. And as I kind of alluded to, you know what I mean, in my pre-fight video, the physical stats I felt kind of played the biggest hand in this fight because you can see the height difference and the reach difference, you know what I mean, which Azim used that really well. He just kept his opponent at bay, kept him behind the jab, do you know what I mean? And he was only at times, I think it was from round six onwards really, where Reyes, you know what I mean, felt, you know what, I'm gonna have to do something different, and he was then prepared. Reyes, he was then prepared to take at least one or two shots to kind of close that gap between him and Azim to try and land some of his own shots. And at times Reyes had a little bit of success. You know what I mean? He was catching Azim with one or two punches, but just not enough. Again, Azim resorted back to that good movement, that distance between him and Reyes. And I feel going forward, you know what I mean, these rounds that he shared with Reyes will be some good rounds in the bank because he is going to be tested at some point, you know what I mean, in his career. It's going to be, you know what I mean, he is going to come up against someone else who is pretty much durable like Reyes, you know what I mean, and these rounds, you know what I mean, he's going to think back to these rounds and be like, okay, what did I do against Reyes? How did I handle it? Do you know what I mean? What could I do in this fight? Now, as I mentioned, you know what I mean, the distance was good, but another thing that which was quality by Adam Azim was his punches. You know what I mean? The range of his punches were awesome. He was throwing everything. He was throwing hooks, lead uppercuts, back arm uppercuts. You know what I mean? Slipping shots, landing counters. His punches were just ferocious, and you know what I mean, just pure quality at times. And you know what I mean, he did dictate that the pace of the fight. He did knock his man down in the second round, and I felt that, you know what I mean, maybe one or two fights back from Adam Azim, he probably would have just jumped on his opponent and stopped him. But you know what I mean, I reckon that, you know what I mean, himself and maybe Shane McGuigan have probably had, you know what I mean, a little bit of talking between them. You know what I mean, they probably had some sort of game plan of saying, hey, you can't just keep jumping on opponents. You need to, you know what I mean, try and be a bit more patient, and then, you know what I mean, take them a little bit further and then stop them in the latter rounds as well. And that's what, you know what I mean, they did, because he didn't jump on him. You know what I mean, he allowed Reyes to get back up onto his feet and to compose himself, and then he took him to the third round, fourth round, and onwards as well. But you know what I mean, I felt that Adam Azim's his punches, his shots that he was throwing were just brilliant, and you can see he was always playing chess. He was always trying to outthink his opponent and trying to land, you know what I mean, some brilliant shots on his opponent really, and he was just there, you know what I mean, and every now and again, soon as you know what I mean, Reyes kind of set himself to kind of try and throw a shot, Adam Azim would just take one or two steps backwards or to the side, and then, you know what I mean, Reyes then has to re-gauge, refine that distance and try and set his feet, and then Azim would just move again. Now, just a couple of little cons really for Adam Azim. I just felt that, you know what I mean, within the fight, you know what I mean, you've thrown far too many single punches. Do you know what I mean? What he needed to potentially have done is to maybe throw, you know what I mean, threes, fours, or maybe combinations of fives. Do you know what I mean? Which potentially would have stopped his opponent as well, because his opponent was happy. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? He was eating the jabs. He was taking the jabs quite comfortably, but he was also taking the right hand as well. You know, when Adam Azim was landing with the jab and the cross, he was also taking, you know what I mean, the ones and twos. But I just felt if Adam Azim, you know what I mean, was throwing threes or fours, those shots, the ones that his opponent wasn't expecting, probably would have done the damage and maybe hurt Reyes. And something else which I kind of noticed as well, every now and again when Adam Azim was throwing his big power punches, you know what I mean? Sometimes they were predictable, do you know what I mean? And for journeymen like Reyes, do you know what I mean? They're happy to take some of these big body shots or big looping headshots because, you know what I mean, they're quite durable in that sense. But also, you know what I mean, Adam Azim, when he's really loading on his power punches, you know what I mean, he often, you know what I mean, lands them, but as he's coming out, he leaves his chin in the air. You know what I mean? That's a bad habit, and he needs to try and rectify that because obviously future opponents will look to maybe capitalize on that. You know what I mean? As he's coming out after he's thrown his big punch, boom, they'll probably try and counter and catch him and hurt him. But overall, I feel it was a good fight. You know what I mean for Adam Azim, and you know what I mean. I feel that he is a potential world champion in the making. Do you know what I mean? But I would like to see his team build him gradually. You know what I mean? Honestly, I know this was a WBA interim or whatever title fight, but I would like them to try and maybe go down the British title route, maybe within the next fight or two. Do you know what I mean? Whoever the British champion is, I don't know off the top of the head, but try and you know what I mean, challenge that person, beat them, you know what I mean, and then maybe European or Commonwealth, and then maybe go onto the world scene. Build himself gradually. He's got plenty of time on his hands, but if they throw him in with some big quality opposition at this stage, it could be the ending of Adam Azim. Do you know what I mean? But anyway, guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. How did you see this fight? You know what I mean, did you enjoy it? Did you feel that Adam Azim could have stopped his opponent if he would have just pressed a little bit more on the gas? As always, guys, please like and subscribe and comment for more boxing related content. Bless.